What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Rats Report. It is time to talk about the Toronto Raptors, but in particular, we have to talk about Scottie Barnes, who has really been struggling on the offensive side as of late. So we're going to be breaking down some highlights for you from last night's game versus the Chicago Bulls. I'm also going to be breaking down some stats, as well as give you my reasoning at the end of the video as to why I think Scottie Barnes may be struggling. So if you are ready to watch, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shoutouts on my channel, and the shoutout for today's video goes out to Michael Todd. So, Michael, thank you so much for supporting this channel. To your likes and comments, it is very much appreciated. Now, let's take a look at Scottie Barnes. The last 11 games, he has not looked good. I didn't want to include the 12th game, it would have been really bad. He shot 4 of 16 versus the Washington Wizards. So, in the 11 games, the last 11 games, he has shot 42%. You could really see Scottie just absolutely struggling at the rim, whatever he's trying to do on the offensive side, anytime he's looking for his own shot. And 42% really is not good, especially for someone listed at 6'9". He is a power forward. You expect a little bit better from Scottie Barnes, but again, the major concern for a lot of people, including myself, was, is he a number one option? Now, I've always felt like Scottie Barnes is a great number two option, and it has not been a good season. Look, scoring wise, not a great season at all. And in the last 11 games, he has scored only 16.4 points per game. Now his assists and rebounds still look pretty decent. His assists are a little bit down, but he has been playing with G League players as well. So let's cut him some slack. There's average only 4.8 assists per game. He's still rebounding the ball pretty well at 7.3 rebounds as well. But I want to take a look at some of these issues that I've been seeing with Scottie Barnes. Again, when we talk about him, particularly Scottie Barnes, he is not only a big guy at 6'9", he's also a power forward who gets a lot of his points in the paint, or he's hitting those jump shots, but he's really struggling as of late. He's only has shot less than 40% in the 11-game span 7 times, has shot 50% or better only 3 times, and the big thing with Scottie has always been, can he shoot the 3-point ball, and has had 5 games out of the 11 games without a made 3-point shot. He's also had 2 games of 20 points or more, which is not great. Again, I'm going to go through some of the teams we have played as well, which just really has a lot of Raptors fans concerned. And he's only had 5 games. 5 games of, no, I shouldn't say only, considering it's an 11-game span, and considering who the teams are we have played, he has had 5 games of scoring 15 points or less, which for me is absolutely concerning for someone. We've kind of built a roster around Scottie. We've also got a coach specifically for Scottie and to implement a certain type of system. So for me, that is really concerning. It really does display the kind of mentality that Scottie has. But again, I want to save that segment for more towards the end of the video. So I'm going to be breaking down some clips from last night. So let's take a look at that clips, and I'm going to be breaking down what I think he did wrong and where I think he should be more focused on moving forward. So you'll see this clip here of Scottie Barnes. He'll get the ball back from Jakob Poeltl, and he has a lot of space to kind of attack the basket here. He throws up a little floater, which just does not go in. For Scottie, I'd like him to do a finger roller, or at least attack the basket, considering Nikola Vucevic is there. This next play here is against Pat Will. He should have taken a fadeaway here. He'll pump fake twice, get him in the air, tries to do a little turnaround, and misses the shot. You want a little bit more confidence from Scottie Barnes in his shot, and just instead of pump faking, just take it. Now this one I really like because he's in the same position. He realizes that, and watch Scottie Barnes in this place displays a lot more confidence in his shot, and not surprisingly, it goes in. So when we highlight some of these issues that Scottie Barnes has had, I think for Scottie it's more of just finding his spots on the offensive side as well. But again, I want to save that for the last section here, but I wanted to quickly take a look at some of these teams we have played in the last 11 games. As you see here, 76ers, Hornets, Nets. We've played the Wizards twice. We've actually played them 3 times in the last 12 games, but I really didn't want to include that. His percentages would look really, really bad. He shot 4 of 16 in that game as well. We played the Jazz, Trailblazers, Bulls, Spurs, Warriors, and Sun. And why am I telling you all this? Because I wanted to take a look at how good these teams were defensively. So taking a look at teams here in terms of ranking, in terms of how many points they allow per game. 4 of the teams we played in the last 11 games are ranked the bottom 4 teams in terms of how many points they allow per game. And those teams are by negative order, I guess the last order. Philadelphia 76ers are ranked 30th. The Wizards are ranked 29th. The Utah Jazz are ranked 28th. And the Spurs are ranked 27th in the NBA in how many points they allow per game. I did want to note that I did only do the 11 games, but these teams have not been great defensive teams all season long. And I wanted to do the last 11 games to kind of make it a fair comparison with Scottie's last 11 games, particularly because a lot of teams have been tanking. They've had a lot of guys sitting out. San Antonio Spurs have Victor Wembanyama, who's been out for the season for quite a while. But even in terms of the Phoenix Suns, who are listed 18th on the spot, that's also very deceiving as well because they are one of the worst defensive rating teams in the NBA as well. But this is where my concern comes in for Scottie Barnes because you got these teams that are very poor defensively, and you're not scoring a ton against some of these teams. That's where my concern comes from, in terms of scoring. And even the Chicago Bulls are ranked 21st. But this is where my concern comes, not because of his scoring, but because of the fact that when he plays good teams, when he plays someone from his draft class that he gets compared to often, that's where Scottie Barnes really goes off. So a team you do not see listed here are the Warriors, who have actually, I believe, they're top 3 or top 5 in the NBA in points allowed per game during this 11 game span. And especially since they have gotten Jimmy Butler, they have been a great defensive team. But that was a team that he had actually played really well against. So this is where my concerns come from when we talk about Scottie Barnes and scoring. So let's take a look at some of the factors that could be affecting his game on the offensive side. So mental aspect, I want to leave that to last because I do have a lot to say about that. Is he physically injured? I personally don't believe so. Could it be father time for Scottie Barnes, who's got a newborn this year? Just, I believe, less than 4 months ago, where he had a baby. It could be. Very well could be. It's not something that most of us can relate to. So perhaps that is affecting Scottie Barnes' offensive game, just overall game as well. He's busy with his own child. Could he be having off-court issues? Absolutely. These are human beings, and I always say this about players when they get criticized. Give them some leeway, guys. They are human beings. He could be dealing with issues off the court. We're all human beings. We all deal with stuff throughout the year, and we don't always have our best foot forward when we're at work, right? So we've all had those days. Perhaps he is dealing with something off the court, so maybe we can, cut him some slack and not be so harsh on him. Is it a lack of aggression? I certainly do think so. That has always been a concern of Scottie Barnes. And one other player, I'm not comparing the two players, that has also received criticism pretty much throughout his entire career for lack of aggression has been LeBron James, which is just crazy because he is the all-time leading scorer. But that has been the one concern with LeBron James his entire career is he's looking to pass too much. He should look to score. And I think, again, not comparing the style of play or the two players, I think Scottie, in a way, is very similar, where he plays very unselfishly and he doesn't always look to score. He's looking to get his teammates involved as well. But you need Scottie to score a lot more. Just plain and simple. And I think we need to give him a little bit tough love moving forward next season because Fred VanVleet got a lot of hate from a Raptors fan base. I think he saw the talent that Scottie had, but the thing that frustrated him with Scottie was that he just it seemed to be I don't want to say lack of focus, but the mental aspect and lack of aggression kind of ties in, right? So when we talk about Scottie Barnes' mental aspect, he is a great player, but you really just need to be focused. So why do I say mental aspect is something that Scottie needs to get better at? Is simple because you see how focused he is when he plays really good teams, and in particular, even the Phoenix Suns when he played them. He played a great game against the Suns, and why was that? Because they had Kevin Durant. He looked up to Kevin Durant. It was a player that he saw growing up. You got all these all-star players on there, Devin Booker as well. You got all these great players, and Scottie always has really good games against those type of teams or big market teams like the Lakers, when LeBron's playing, when KD's playing, when Curry's playing. But that's where my concern comes from for the mental aspect is why is he not having the same games against a Wizards team where he's actually it's been 3 games he's shot really poorly, and I don't mean poorly as in he's shot 45%. He's shot terribly. I'm not going to list the percentages because it's really bad, but I think that's my main concern with Scottie moving forward is he seems to get really excited based on some of these matchups, even when he's playing his fellow draft candidates like Cade Cunningham. You see him versus Evan Mobley. You can certainly tell that he's really amped up to play against those guys as well. But again, it's just you need that mental focus for Scottie Barnes. That's been the major concern. And for a Raptors organization that has done everything and anything the last couple of years to kind of build around Scottie, bring in a coach to kind of, help the system, which he should flourish in, you need Scottie to absolutely be going off. You see guys like Josh Giddey going off, and mind you, Chicago Bulls aren't tanking, but he's the main guy there. He's absolutely playing like an all-star. But then you need this from Scottie as well. So again, whatever the reason may be for his lack of focus, I don't think it's a lack of focus or anything like that with Scottie Barnes. It could also be one other thing I do want to mention before I end my video, and that is he is also putting in a lot of effort on the defensive side as well. He's more focused on the defensive side, and anyone who's played basketball will tell you when you're playing hard defense, when you're playing aggressive defense, it takes a lot out of you, man. You just don't have the same juice to give on the offensive side, which is why a lot of offensively talented player. James Harden, Steph Curry, they're not a great defensive player. Yes, it could be due to size, but they just choose not to because how much effort it takes on the defensive side and the way the NBA has run today is super fast paced. It just takes a lot out of you, and then you don't have a lot of juice to give on the offensive side as well. So that could be one other factor. I think that Scottie may be struggling on the offensive side, but again, he is a young player. He's 23 years old. It's not like we're talking about 35-year-old guy who's can't give it on both sides. So you want to see a little bit more from Scottie Barnes. And I do believe he'll look a lot better next to Brandon Ingram next season. And he certainly should be because if he doesn't, there's going to be major concerns moving forward for the Toronto Raptors. So, what are your thoughts on Scottie's recent struggles? Do you view him as a number one option? I personally have always believed he's a number two option, a great one as well. So we'll see how he does versus some of the teams moving forward, but also coming into next season. Want him to be a little bit more focused. You also want him to have that go-to move in isolation. I think for Scottie, the big thing is you want him to stop taking threes. Guys that are 6'9", we tried this with Pascal, guys. Guys that are 6'9" aren't meant to be shooting 3-point shots. There's just certain things that human bodies can and cannot do. I mean, that's why KD is called a unicorn because he's absolutely amazing. The fact that he can shoot as well as he does at his size, but one of the hardest working players in the NBA. LeBron James has always struggled with shooting as well in terms of 3-point shooting, free throw shooting. So look, there's going to be limitations to the human body. For Scottie, just work on your strengths. Find a go-to move in the off season, which really helps you in isolation scoring, and I think that will take him, so much further in his NBA career on the offensive side in particular. So I do believe he'll get better. He's a hard worker. He'll look a lot better next to Brandon Ingram, but I'm very curious to hear your thoughts as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and that will be it for today's video. And just before I end off, actually, I did forget to mention there is a trivia question for today. So how many siblings does Scottie Barnes have before we end the video? So is it A2? Is it B4? Is it C3 or is it D1? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly gets a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.